What's up, everyone? It's Jasmine. On today's episode of the Slain Project, we're going to be talking about the case of Lakota Renville. She was 22 years old when she was found murdered on the streets of Kansas City in October 2005. And there is a lot of evidence in her case, and despite this, no one has ever been arrested for her murder. And if you would like to see more cases on missing and murdered Indigenous people, click that subscribe button and the notification bell. Now let's get right into it. Lakota Renville. Lakota was born on July 6, 1983, and she was a tribal member of the Sisseton, Wahpeton, Oyate Sioux tribe in South Dakota. She was a smart, shy, and wholesome girl who lived most of her life on the Lake Traverse Reservation. According to her sister Waynette, Lakota did not smoke, drink, or do drugs. She was so shy that she almost did not walk across the stage when she graduated high school. All was going well in Lakota's life until she met a man online in 2003. It was not specified how she met this man, but widespread use of the internet in 2003 was a new thing. MySpace launched in August 2003, so maybe she could have met him on there. Or there were the old MSN and AIM chat rooms. AIM was a part of America Online, or AOL. It was their instant messaging function on your computer. But either way, this man had convinced this shy, young woman to move away from her family in South Dakota and move to the northeast side of Kansas City, Missouri. It was reported that she left in her mother's car and made the 7.5-hour drive to Kansas City, which was 515 miles away. Lakota's life story begins to take on a tone of being sexually exploited. Trafficking of Native women is a widespread problem all over the U.S. and Canada, and currently is very rampant in South Dakota. Recently, Rapid City has seen a sharp uprising of young, missing Native girls. Lakota told her family that her new boyfriend had 2 jobs, so she did not have to work when she moved to be with him. She also did not really share much about her new beginning with her family. Her new life in Kansas City was a very private affair. 2 years after moving to Kansas City, Lakota's life would take a tragic turn. On Sunday, October 16, 2005, at about 11 a.m., her body was found in a gravel lot in the 9200 block of Pitcher Road in Independence, a suburb of Kansas City. She was only 22 years old. A man walking through the lot discovered her body. She was rolled up in a carpet pad and a distinctive Western-style blanket that was gray and white with a steer skull. Her head was sticking out one of the ends. She was nude, beaten, and stabbed. The blanket was determined to be very common in the area and sold at many locations. Despite this, a public plea was released asking if anyone recognized this blanket as belonging to anyone they knew. No tips were ever received on the blanket. The spot she was found at was a known illegal dump site for garbage. People who lived nearby said that they had seen some debris around 7 a.m., but just assumed that it was garbage and paid it no mind. Others who lived in the area did not notice it. It is believed that Lakota was killed elsewhere and dumped in the gravel lot. A patrolman with the police department reported seeing a light brown, early 1990s Ford Explorer with Missouri plates at the dump site about an hour before the discovery. They reported that they did not see anyone around the vehicle, but that it was blocking the view of where the body would later be found. Investigators would reveal that Lakota was a sex worker on the streets of Kansas City. What they failed to say is that she was most likely sexually exploited and referred to her as just a prostitute. It was also stated that she was dropped off at Independence and Myrtle Avenues in Independence at about 3 a.m. by a customer. He was cleared of any involvement in her death, being excluded by DNA. The location she was dropped off at was about 7 miles away from where her body would be found. Investigators believe she was picked up again after this by the person who killed her. According to the Justice for Native Women webpage, there is suspect DNA on file, and it has been compared to at least 8 people. We can assume that this is semen, but it also can be hair fibers or something else that was found on the body. A strange thing would happen that appears that the killer was familiar with police investigations. Lakota's cell phone was taken and over 50 calls were made from it to random phone numbers. Every call was followed up on, and people said that when they answered, no one replied on the other end. The killer seemed to have done this to conceal the area where he had taken Lakota and killed her by driving around and making various calls. He also seemed very familiar with the area because he knew of the illegal dump site for garbage. This stalled the investigation. They spent 2 16-hour days following up on each phone call. In 2005, cell phone usage was just starting to gain popularity with the main population. Most cell phones at the time were not smartphones. They were just basic phones that called out, sent, and received text messages. Most people did not even know of cell phone pings at the time. For 5 years after Lakota's murder, her sister Waynette would call weekly and ask for updates. Sadly, there never were any. In present day, she says that when she calls for updates, no one will call her back. Even if there are not any updates, they can still call her back and let her know that they are still aware of her unsolved murder. The lack of empathy is uncalled for. In 2017, Waynette said that the boyfriend her sister went to live with in Kansas City had contacted her and said that he had nothing to do with her murder. Whether or not this is true is unknown. But remember, there was reportedly the DNA on file that was compared to 8 people. It could be assumed that the boyfriend's DNA was compared to the suspect DNA. Also in 2017, North Dakota Senator Heidi Heitkamp introduced Savannah's Act on the Senate floor, which would eventually pass into law. The bill is named after Savannah Greywind, who was murdered for her unborn fetus. The baby survived, but Savannah was later found in the Red River in Minnesota. The couple who did this to Savannah were convicted for the murder of her and the kidnapping of her baby. But Senator Heitkamp told the stories of Savannah, Lakota, Monica Two Eagle, Stella Marie Trotter Graves, and Monica Wicker. She spoke of the injustices of MMIW cases, the lack of accountability, and underreporting. The bill is supposed to close the information gaps and streamline information sharing between state, federal, and tribal agencies. Senator Heitkamp understood the need for the bill, but even after the passage of the bill, the inner workings are slow to get off the ground. Lakota's family will never be the same without her. They continue to fight for justice. They do everything they can to keep her visible within the living world. Lakota was brought home and laid to rest near the rest of her family. The person who did this to her has never been caught and continued to live their life after they murdered her. If you have any information, please reach out to the Kansas City Crime Stoppers at 816-474-TIPS, TIPS. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and if you knew Lakota, please share any memories of her. And I hope to see you in the next video.